Hello and welcome to this video on SAP Screen Personas and a little bit more information about what type of functionality you have with Screen Personas. The first thing you do as ever is you create a copy of the original document. We'll call it My Screen. And then what I'm going to do is you can start editing that screen. I'm going to hide some of the elements I don't want, so we can just take those away. And then obviously some of the elements I want to keep, such as this Easy Access menu here. So I can just bring it in there and we'll hide the rest. The next thing I may want to do is add a background. So what I can do here is simply choose the palette and then say here add a background picture, and we'll choose a nice background picture of, let's say, an iceberg, which I have stored here on my PC. We select the iceberg and automatically it gets inserted as the background. The next thing I want to do is may add another image. So I select here image and then simply select that image again from my PC and just move that around where I want it. Here up here the layer buttons will allow me to layer it properly so that easy access menu comes to the front. We'll call them the green tick go because obviously that's easier to understand, and we'll just type in go and then move it across over then here onto the page and make it look nice. Just size it so it's the right size. The next thing I may want to do is add a transaction in here. So what I can do here is simply say add a launch button, and I want to add here a transaction which is to maintain users and roles, and that's obviously the PFCG. So I simply enter PFCG here, the button appears and I can move it in place. The next thing I want to do is to add, let's say, the admin console, which is actually a web page. So all I can do here is choose web page, and then I can simply then copy that and then put it here into the web page link, and hey presto, straight away I've then got that in there. We'll give it a title, admin console or admin UI, and straight away there it is on the page, and we'll just move it nicely. The next thing I want to do is to add a script, which is to look up a particular user. So obviously I want to have a script button and a text button where somebody can enter something. So the first thing I do is create the button. Here's the button. And this is a script now. And what I'm going to do next is then record the actual script. So what I now here, I'm going to save that and go into the original transaction here. And then what I'm going to do is click here this record button and then record the script, which is enter SU01D and type in the user ID. And all I can do then is follow that, and here I am on the page I want to be on. I stop the recording and save that. It's called temp.txt. Okay, so now I go back into my view that I want to edit, into my screen, and click here on edit. Now obviously I don't want to use my user ID. I want to add a text box so that people can enter their own user ID. So I simply here add the text box, and the next thing I'm going to do is then link the script that we created earlier simply to that button. There it is, temp.txt. And here you can see all of the information in there. The first thing I'm going to do though is add the value out of that text box. I copy the value out of the text box here, which has its own unique ID, which is automatically inserted, and I'm going to call it user. I move then the user, reading the user out of the text box right at the very beginning, and the next thing I want to do here is change the UID I entered into the value which I want, which is user. So what will happen now, it'll be read out of the text box and inserted automatically into the script. The last thing I want to do then is to add a transaction, which is then to exit, and simply then here choose the menu option, which is then system log off, and then we'll call that something nice like bye bye, and people can get out of the application very easily. And there you have it. The next thing I may want to do is to change the colors. Obviously I don't like this orange here of the different buttons, so I'm going to simply then pick the nice deep blue here, and you can see we've changed the colors to make it even look better. And now all I need to do is to then finally add a web page if I want to. I can then say here add a frame and enter a URL, simply then add it in there, and then hey presto, that HTML control is in there to give the user additional information if we want to then have that on the page. And there it is. All I need to do now is to save and exit, and hey presto, we're done. To show it works, I'll enter then here personas into the lookup box, and now that user will be then given over to the script, and hey presto, I jump straight into that script. You can make it look even better. You can play around with the colors, with the different pictures. Here's an oil and gas industry example, and we hope we've given you a few ideas about how to use SAP Personas. Thank you very much for watching.